And so meats, I always say, eat nose to tail. The entire animal, it needs to be consumed in one way or the other. In fact, our ancestors never discarded any part of the meat. They used to use, let's say, the bones and the cartilage and such like, and make bone broth with it. And bone broth happens to be a very nourishing drink for the healing of the GI tract. In fact, when people come in with ulcers and Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis, one of the first things I put them on is bone broth. And believe it or not, it is extremely healing. So that's animals. Let's come to plants. So the next is vegetables. And I tell folks to have at least a pound of vegetables every single day. When it comes to vegetables, we need to put what I call the rainbow on your plate. So every color needs to be represented, from the red tomatoes to the yellow squash and the peppers and so on and so forth. So make it like a range of colors, because every one of those colors represents a health benefit to us. Also, a couple of points with regard to vegetables. Usually, the smaller the vegetable when it comes to analogous vegetables, the better. Let me give you an example. The smaller the tomatoes, the more nutrient dense. Okay? The shallots, for instance, the smaller the onions, they tend to be more nutrient dense. The red onions are more nutrient dense than the paler cousins. So there is this difference amongst vegetables itself. I know some of you guys are vegetarians here. You probably use garlic. A point in picking or using garlic is whenever you use garlic, you cut it, chop it, and let it rest on the cutting board for a few minutes before you put it for cooking. And that actually releases things like allicin, which has got benefits. So the next category is nuts and seeds. Great source of omega-6 and 3s. And I tell this specifically to my patients when it comes to snacking. I think nothing better than nuts and seeds. They are wonderful sources of minerals, particularly magnesium and an array of other minerals, and the omega-6 and 3s. So this is what you should be consuming more of. Now, what are the things you should be subtracting from your diet, or not having enough of, or not having as much of? Number one is grain-based foods, such as bread, or wheat that is. So bread, pasta, pizzas, donuts, bagels, etc. Okay, or even cereal for that matter, made up of grains. So even if you're using grains, make sure you are properly preparing them. The ancient practice of soaking lentils overnight and then cooking them, it makes a difference. The reason is that you're doing that is not making it easy for it to cook. It's actually getting rid of the lectins and other anti-nutrients when you soak it overnight. 90% of anti-nutrients are actually depleted when you are using it in this way. The next category, and this is probably one of the most important takeaways from this talk, if you forget everything, if you can remember this, and that is the avoidance of vegetable oils. Okay? Now they look very pretty in the grocery aisles, but these oils are toxic to your health. That includes canola, the so-called heart-healthy oil, or safflower, sunflower, peanut oil. These oils are to be avoided like the plague. And the reason for that is manufacturers make these oils with one thing in mind, and that is to last as long as possible in the fryers of your kitchen or the restaurant. And you only just need to look at these oils in the fryers for you to know that this can't be good for you. These guys, the restaurant practice obviously is to use this oil day after day. They probably filter it once in a while and then reuse it. So what happens is these oils are oxidized. And remember, you are a colony of 50 trillion plus cells. Every cell is fenced in by what? A cell membrane. And in the cell membrane, 50% of your cell membrane is protein, and the other half is lipids. And a major component of that lipid is omega-6. where are you getting most of your omega-6 from? Likely from those vegetable oils. And so if they become part and parcel of your cell membrane, it is not surprising to me that the cells are getting nutrient depleted. You may be eating nutrient-dense food, but are you getting it into the cell? In fact, there is even a theory out there that cancer is more like an adaptive mechanism of these cells because of oxygen and nutrient depletion. So I always advocate traditional fats, traditional oils that have been used by human beings for hundreds, if not thousands of years, such as olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, grass-fed butter, etc. My favorite butter is Kerrygold butter, and this butter is actually from Ireland, and they still grass-feed their cows there. So that's the fat aspect of it. And next is sugar and the antecedents when it comes to sugar. So ice cream and pies and bagels and so on and so forth. As well as a special note here is sodas. Now, a lot of my patients think that diet sodas are good. They aren't, okay? In fact, studies have shown their links to dementia as well as stroke. So, no to any kind of sodas. So this is in a 30,000 overview of what I would call my diet and nutrition approach. There's also something to be said about intermittent fasting, so but we'll come back to that in the detox area. So, next slide. Okay, so the next pillar is movement. So our ancestors moved. I mean, they were on an average moving anywhere from 7 to 8 miles up to 13 miles every day. Okay? So when it comes to movement, I say low levels of constant physical activity, avoid sitting. In fact, there's a study out there that sitting for more than an hour and a half is equal to smoking half a pack of cigarettes a day. So one of the questions I have to my patients is, how much do you smoke? So move is my dictum to my patient. Aim for about 10,000 steps interspersed throughout the day. 10,000 steps works out to about 5 to 6 miles or so per day. If you want to hack your exercise, I always say go for intermittent, high-intensity exercise. Say, for instance, you like, biking. So get on the bike and pedal as if, let's say, a tiger is chasing you for 15, 30, or 45 seconds. Take a break, catch your breath, and then do it again. And maybe do 5 or 6 repetitions. So when you're doing this, you're only exercising for maybe, 4 or 5 minutes or so. But then this has very demonstrable benefits in increasing, one of the benefits is actually increasing the mitochondrial density in every cell. See, every cell in your body has different amounts of mitochondria. Your dermal cells, your skin cells, maybe have a few hundred. In your heart, you have about 5,000 plus mitochondria per cell. Brain cells, more than 5,000. So these are varying, and you can actually vary the number with this process of biogenesis with this format of exercise. So that's high intensity, and of course the other thing I want to talk about is lifting weights. So always, especially I tell this to my women patients, make sure that you lift heavy weights at least 3 times a week or so. All right, because that's osteoporosis is just one of the benefits of lifting weights. All right, so let's go to the next. The next thing is sleep, and this is an often ignored part of our health domain. Quality sleep, this is not an accident that we sleep a third of our life. So the sleep quality is extremely important. Unfortunately, our bedrooms are invaded by, how many people have televisions in their bedrooms? TVs in their bedrooms. Okay? So this is, televisions really should not be in bedrooms. Now I'm guilty of that too, okay? So I say, watch all of the television you want in your living room. But when it comes to the bedroom, it's for sleep and, whatever. So the sleep is crucial, and pay attention to your sleep. So some of the sleep hacks in order to, let's say, promote wellness when it comes to sleep. is keeping the bedroom as cool as possible. 65 to 67 degrees or so is about the average temperature that they found conducive to good sleep. Watch out for any leaking lights, particularly the blue light. You know, these televisions, televisions as well as these computers tend to emanate that, so you need to be watching out for that. Exposure to bright light, sunlight, early on during the day promotes good sleep at night because of the cortisol, melatonin shifts that occur. And there are a few other things. For instance, Epsom salt baths can help, magnesium can help, but those are all, you know, supplements that we can talk about at a later time if time permits. So this is about sleep and the quality of sleep. Next. And so this is another pillar of mine, and that is what we call decreasing our toxic burden. Now this would not be relevant, let's say, I don't know, 70, 80 years, but then now, recently, you know, in the last few decades, this is crucially important. Our plants are sprayed with herbicides, pesticides, Roundup. Our animals are injected with hormones. Water and swimming pools, chlorinated. There's parabens and other kinds of toxins that is entering through, you know, what you apply on the skin, especially, and sunblock for that matter. So all these things, what I call is, it increases your toxic burden. Now, we have wonderful detox pathways in our body, but if we were to not pay attention to this, you know, even the kitchen sink gets clogged, isn't it? So there is this toxic burden that we need to pay attention in order to decrease it, identifying these areas. So get, you know, maybe a reverse osmosis filter at home to decrease, let's say, the toxic minerals and such heavy metals and other things that happens to be in water. I like this supplement called Restore, R-E-S-T-O-R-E. You can get that from Amazon. Restore has been shown to reverse some of the effects of glyphosate on your gastrointestinal membrane. Now, glyphosate is a particularly bad one. I know it's been in the news these days with cancer and the links to that. And I could go into why glyphosate is so bad. I mean, well, maybe if I have time, I'll go to that. But you know, I would say eat organic whenever possible. Have maybe a backyard vegetable garden. That would be one way to decrease your toxic burden with these things. And maybe supporting your local farmers market. Maybe that would be one way to do it. But pay attention to the toxic burden. Now, other ways of detox would be the saunas. Now, I'll talk about the sauna later if I have a chance, but sauna is a wonderful ways, I think, of pulling heavy metals and toxins from the system. In fact, the regular use of sauna, I was telling tomorrow, you can actually decrease your cardiovascular risks by 27% using the sauna 3 times a week, 15 to 20 minutes a day. Use it 7 times a week, and you're decreasing your heart attack risk by 45%. So this beats, you know, any statin that I know. And in fact, I was so convinced with the data that I actually have a sauna at home and use it almost, you know, every day. So other forms of detox would be like even an Epsom salt bath can be detoxic. There are other things that we can talk about, but this is just a broad overview. All right, next. So the last is the management of stress, and I saved the best for the last, and I think this is something that we really need to pay attention to. Stress has become this elephant in the room, and I don't know of anyone who's really escaped the effects of deleterious stress. Now, I notice I said stress management. So you can't avoid stress. Stress is actually kind of a hormetic beneficial response. I mean, that is what has kept us alive in the plains tens of thousands of years ago. Now, unfortunately, though, you know, our tigers are living with us. You know, so the idea is, how do you become resilient in the face of stress? What do you do to get rid of the toxic effects of stress on you? So for that, one of my best modalities would be meditation. I don't know, how many of y'all have heard of Headspace? Headspace is a downloadable app, and I would really encourage you to try it out. You can vary, it's a guided meditation practice, anywhere from 3 minutes up to 20 minutes or longer if you so choose. And it's wonderful. So, why is it that meditation is useful for us? So if you look at stress and the effects of stress and why stress is so deleterious, it's almost always you are worried about things, let's say, in the future, or things that might have happened in the past. Nothing you can do about it. But that's where the mind tends to be. So I consider meditation is almost like dropping the anchor to the now, to enjoy the moment. And this leads me to the next tip, and that is the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness is all about being in the present, enjoying the moment, you see? And in that vein, there are other stress management techniques that I like to talk about. The simplest of which is this: a 20 to 30 minute walk in sunlight. Studies have shown that just a 20-minute walk in sunlight is better than any antidepressant on the market. And this is free. The next would be the strong interpersonal relationship. So hanging out with friends that you care about, spending time with them. This is important. A lot of us, unfortunately, especially as we get older, we are becoming loners, and this is really affecting us psychologically and affecting us health-wise as a result. The next would be journaling. Journaling is another stress management technique that is a favorite of mine. And the technique of journaling is this: you take a piece of paper and